Today, we're going to talk about how by eating a proper diet, you can help your body fight cancer. I don't think it's controversial to say that our diet has a huge impact on our health and well-being. In fact, it's probably one of the only things you can get all health gurus to agree on. It's not outlandish to suggest that diet should also significantly impact cancer and that it might be used to help patients in their fight against the disease. And scientific research has verified this. It has been shown that dietary interventions can significantly improve cancer patient survival. Despite this, dietary interventions are absent from modern medical treatments. Patients are poorly advised and supported as to what changes they could implement to further their chances of survival. So, that's what we'll look at in this video. We'll go over a few things that you could change in your diet in order to enable your body to more effectively fight cancer. Now, my name is Cedric, and about 3.5 years ago, my dad was diagnosed with a very aggressive cancer. My brother and I, both being students of molecular biotechnology at the time, instantly set out to research how he could improve his chances of survival. We ended up developing the Mosaic method to help him, and nowadays he's still alive and doing great. We founded Marchwood to teach the exact steps he took to other cancer patients so that they may achieve what he did. Of course, I don't want you to just trust some emotional story. In fact, I want you to verify for yourself. To make this easier, we've put together a guide to the Mosaic method that contains all of the steps as well as the scientific sources that they are based on. You can find this guide at marchwood.com/mosaic. If we want to know what we can do to help our bodies fight cancer, we first have to understand how they do it. The most important part of your body's fight against cancer is the immune system. Most people know that one of the main tasks of the immune system is to protect the body from external dangers such as bacteria, viruses, or parasites. Something far fewer people know is that the immune system also acts as an internal cleanup crew. It clears out waste and debris, and it eliminates damaged and dysfunctional cells that could be dangerous to the body. Now, cancer cells are damaged and highly dysfunctional. They're also dangerous because of their rampant, uncontrolled growth. Because of this, the immune system tries to attack and eliminate cancer cells. In response to this, cancer cells develop ways to avoid being detected and eliminated by the immune system. Effectively, there is a constant arms race between the immune system trying to eliminate cancer cells and the cancer cells trying to survive. Given what I have told you up until now, you might expect a hyper-stimulated immune system to be wonderful in fighting cancer. But the opposite is actually the case. Chronic inflammation describes a state where the immune system is persistently activated over prolonged periods of time. Now, the immune system has the ability to kill cells. Usually, those cells are dysfunctional or diseased. However, it can get out of hand with the immune system attacking healthy cells. In order to counteract this, the immune system will self-limit when subjected to chronic inflammation. Additionally, cells within the immune system will stop responding to immune stimulation and become what is called senescent. This is a state where they are basically asleep and no longer any active members of the immune system. Taken together, that means that chronic inflammation actually suppresses the immune system instead of causing immune activation. This, of course, also leads to the immune system being less effective at eliminating cancer cells. Thus, if we want to help our body fight cancer, we should do our best to minimize chronic inflammation. As you may have guessed by now, what we eat has an enormous influence on the level of chronic inflammation in our body. So, by changing what we eat, we can reduce chronic inflammation, which leads to a more active immune system, thus enabling our bodies to fight cancer more effectively. Prolamins and lectins are two of the biggest drivers of chronic inflammation in the Western diet. They are two groups of proteins commonly found in plant foods such as cereals, legumes, and in some vegetables. They promote chronic inflammation by increasing gut permeability. Normally, the the gut lining tightly regulates what can pass from within your gut into your body. It maintains a delicate balance, allowing nutrients to pass and keeping harmful substances out at the same time. Prolamins and lectins attack the gut lining and disrupt its ability to keep out the harmful substances. This causes something called leaky gut. As the name hints, this means that substances from within the gut begin to leak into the body without control. As we touched on in the beginning, one of the main tasks of the immune system is to protect you from external dangers. Because of that, the immune system recognizes and reacts to these foreign substances that stream into the body, and it tries to eliminate them. However, because of the higher gut permeability, because of the leaky gut, there is now a constant stream of foreign harmful substances flowing into the body. This leads to a constant activation of the immune system in response to these foreign substances, which in turn leads to chronic inflammation. And, as we said, chronic inflammation leads to immune suppression and thus lower anti-cancer immunity. The great thing for us is that if we eliminate prolamins and lectins, the gut lining will normalize and the leaky gut will heal. That means no foreign substances within your body and no chronic inflammation in response to them. Prolamins are found overwhelmingly in cereal grains. The main sources include wheat, rye, barley, oats, sorghum, corn, and rice. In contrast to prolamins, lectins are much more widespread. Besides being found in cereal grains such as the prolamins, they are also found in legumes such as lentils and beans, as well as nightshade vegetables such as tomatoes or aubergines. Animal products such as eggs, beef, fish, or dairy products don't contain any lectins or prolamins. Given this, the easiest way to eliminate all prolamins and all lectins would be to simply eliminate all plant matter and instead consume animal products. Whilst this is physiologically possible, I do understand that it is mentally draining and that most people do prefer at least some variation. Steering clear of grains, legumes, and nightshades should already significantly reduce the exposure to prolamins and lectins. Leafy greens, cruciferous vegetables, and some other vegetables such as mushrooms or asparagus are quite low in both prolamins and lectins. They would thus make quite good additions for those seeking a bit of variety without reintroducing the harmful substances. I think the best course of action is to reduce plant matter containing prolamins and lectins as much as possible. Then, to add some variety, some vegetables that are low in prolamins and low in lectins can then be reintroduced based on personal preference. Some might like salad, others might like asparagus, and others still might like avocado. There really is no one-size-fits-all solution here, and it is up to you to find your own balance between low content of prolamins and lectins and still having enough variation so that you feel that you can keep to the diet. Much like prolamins and lectins, alcohol can also increase gut permeability. This means that alcohol can drive chronic inflammation in a similar manner to prolamins and lectins. However, alcohol is much weaker in that regard. The main concern with alcohol in the context of chronic inflammation is its direct and indirect toxicity. Of course, eliminating alcohol completely would be optimal. I don't think that is controversial or a surprise to anyone watching this video. But I understand that for many, completely eliminating alcohol can be quite difficult to achieve given the social context in which alcohol is normally consumed. The good thing is that when consumed occasionally and in small quantities, the toxicity of alcohol is greatly reduced. This is because our body has two pathways to detoxify alcohol. One pathway is very specialized for alcohol and will produce far fewer toxic side products. However, it also has quite a limited capacity to detoxify alcohol. In contrast, the second pathway is much more generalized and has a higher capacity to detoxify alcohol. However, this second, more generalized pathway also creates many more toxic metabolites that drive inflammation much more than those of the specialized pathway. When alcohol is consumed in small amounts occasionally, the body is able to rely on the specialized non-toxic pathway to detoxify the alcohol. when consumption becomes too high, the body is forced to switch to the more general and more toxic pathway instead. Therefore, occasionally consuming a single glass of wine, maybe a few times a month, really doesn't go above the capacity of the specialized non-toxic pathway. This means that it drives chronic inflammation much less and makes it much more acceptable than regular consumption of alcohol. Now, of course, this doesn't mean that consuming a glass of wine once a week is great. It is simply an acceptable trade-off. I know that for me, completely eliminating alcohol isn't difficult because I don't drink any alcohol anyways. But I know from a client that the occasional glass of wine with his wife makes him feel much more human and much less like a slave to the cancer as a disease. And his results have been stellar nonetheless, so it didn't really have any significant negative effects. In the end, it is up to you to find a balance between what is theoretically optimal and what you can maintain for the rest of your life. And I think that really is the main takeaway from this video. Complete elimination of prolomins, lectins and alcohol would be the best way to reduce chronic inflammation and enable your body to fight cancer. But on the other hand, complete elimination can be very restrictive and thus extremely difficult to maintain for a long period of time. And there is no single solution to this. It is up to you to find a balance on your own because each person is different and will have different preferences. If this has been interesting or helpful to you, don't hesitate to share it with your friends and family. Also, feel free to like and subscribe, and if you have any questions, leave them down below. I will be glad to answer any of them. Also, if you want to double check any of the claims I made, or if you want to join our war against cancer, you can find the links in the description. Now, thank you dearly for your time. I wish you swift healing and lasting health. Peace out.